Hi guys, my name is Lucia and welcome back to another video in my series Make Up Your Mind, where I talk about makeup related things I have made my mind up about. If you've missed any video in this series, I will link my playlist down below. Today I wanted to talk about makeup collabs that you bought just for the celebrity's name. I actually took it to the community tab and I asked you guys two questions. I asked, what makeup collabs have you bought just for the celebrity names, and what makeup collabs are really overpriced just because there's a famous person's face on it. So I want to talk about both of those. I thought they were similar enough that I didn't want to make two separate videos about that. Here's my whole thing with this. Sometimes we get really wrapped up in wanting to purchase something to support someone. I wanted to just come on here and tell you there are other ways to support people besides buying makeup. Sometimes buying something blindly just because there's someone's face on it or there are someone's name on it isn't always the best thing. A lot of people on the community tab said, I bought blah blah because it had blah blah's face on it and I hated it, or it wasn't the shade for me. I'm not saying never buy collabs or you can't buy something because someone did a collab and you like it. It is your money, spend it how you want. I just thought this would be interesting because I think that for especially young people who are impressionable, when there's something that you really like or someone that you idolize and then they come out with a product, it's easy to say, oh, I want that product. But something that I always try to do is look at the product without their face. Do you want the product just because it's a good product, or do you only want it because their face is on it or their name is on it? Often, and I'm going to talk about this, the products are really overpriced just because the person's name is on it. Oftentimes you can find better products than that collab that's worth your money more, that is less money, but it doesn't have, I don't know, Selena Gomez's face on. Just to be clear, because I know last time when I did a video talking about stuff that you guys liked, I got comments saying, what do you mean you've never tried this? Yes, this is stuff you guys told me. I have not tried these things, but I'm going off of reviews I've heard online, as well as your opinions that you shared with me in the community tab. Okay, let's get started. Something that was really interesting to me was the number one answer for both of these questions was the same thing. It is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette, and I was actually surprised to hear a ton of you said this is overpriced. Even though it's good, some people in the comments said they didn't like it. A lot of people said they did. The consensus was, this is overpriced. I get where you're coming from. The Morphe palettes in the past have been known to be inexpensive palettes. I know that they redid their packaging, but the black ones that just didn't have a mirror or anything, they were not that expensive. Just for comparison purposes, on the Ulta website, the Morphe 350 Natural Glow eyeshadow palette is $23, and the Morphe Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette is $38. That's $15 more. I have no idea why that is such a price jump, and I can't tell you why, but a lot of you guys were saying it's probably because her name is on it. A lot of you also said, I know she gets a cut of it, but a lot of you were saying, still, come on, $15? The one that I'm looking at on the Ulta website has no mirror in it. I'm not sure if they have done another one with a mirror, but I think that's kind of ridiculous if you are a brand and then you come out with a collab and it's a lot more money and there's no mirror. It just is what it is. And that really sucks. It sucks when you have a brand that you rely on to have a certain price point and then they spike it up a lot and you want to buy that thing. For a lot of people, this was the palette that they wanted to get from Morphe. Obviously, Morphe's their own brand. They can do whatever they want. Do they care that I'm sitting here being like, oh, $15? Not at all. I'm just saying it doesn't sit right, especially because this was the number one product that you guys said you bought just for the celebrity's name. This has Jaclyn Hill on it. She has done a ton of collabs. They've all been really successful except for the eyeshadow palette. It came out a couple summers ago. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was recalled because the formula, there were two different palettes. I can't remember if it was two different factories or just two different formulas. One was really good and one was terrible. They were allowing everyone to return the one that they bought if they didn't like it, which is weird because you can return anything in America if you don't like it, but whatever. This is absolutely something that people bought for Jaclyn Hill's name because there were no reviews yet. And then when the reviews came out, they were god awful. So I think that if people had truly waited and if this was just a normal palette, the frenzy would not have been released if it wasn't her name. Because this was just a neutral palette, and some people, of course, still would have purchased it for the neutral eyeshadows, Becca lovers, but this definitely was enhanced by her name, and I felt really bad when it backfired. I remember when this happened, again, this was years ago. I think she handled it really, really well. I felt really bad for the people who bought the palette and didn't return it. That's the people that I felt bad for. And there were some of you in that community post that said, I bought this, I never returned it, I feel bad about it, but now I own it. And that's what I feel bad for, because I think mistakes like that shouldn't happen. It's more likely to happen with a celebrity's name than with not, because there is this whole frenzy with, oh my gosh, it's the person's name on it. Brands also have this idea of, we're gonna be successful because someone's name is on it, and that might lead to a lack of checking. I don't know, I think it shouldn't. I think every product should be checked thoroughly, but that's what happened in that case. A lot of you guys also mentioned Kathleen Lights and the ColourPop palette, as well as a lot of the lip products that she's come out with ColourPop. ColourPop is like the queen of just popping out collabs. They just, all the time, it's collab this, collab that, which is great for the people doing it. I think as a brand, it's too much. As a consumer, to look at the brand ColourPop, that's what I think of. I think of the brand that releases too much. I think it's amazing for all the content creators that get their own stuff. A lot of you guys said that you bought lip colors, but they didn't work for you. I got a comment saying someone bought a collab with ColourPop and a portion of the lip colors went to an animal shelter, and you were glad about that, but the shades didn't work for you. And I'm glad about that too. I'm glad that if you purchased something and it didn't work, at least some of the money went to animals. But I also wanted to say here that a lot of times brands will do this. They will say, buy this and a portion of it goes to charity, and maybe instead of a celebrity that they're collabing with, it's a charity. You're allowed to just donate to the charity. I don't know if anyone told you that, but I'm just saying, I'm not here to hate, and I think that if you were already going to buy that product and now some of your money is going to a charity, that's awesome. But if you're just buying the product because money is going to a charity, you could just donate to that charity. You don't need the makeup. Just saying, moving on. Anyway, the Kathleen Lights and Dream Street palette. I actually have that palette. Wait, let me go grab it. Here it is. This is the Kathleen Lights and Dream Street palette. This is the palette that a ton of you said you bought because it was Kathleen Lights. Did I buy this palette because it was Kathleen Lights? No, but would I have known about it if Kathleen Lights didn't make the video about it? Probably not, or I probably would have seen it come out and then been like, oh, whatever. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, so I'm not gonna go too in depth. Clearly, I like it. I have pan. I really wanted this because at the time, which is really weird for me now because now I have a ton of colorful shadows, but at the time I bought this, I barely had any. I wanted it for these blues. I fell for the pop effect. I'm so mad at myself. Paige from Thrifty Beauty is probably like, oh my god, Lucia, I know, but I did. If you cover up these blues, you have that palette. You own this palette. I was not used to seeing the pop blue effect. This is kind of like a new thing in the beauty community. I'm glad that everyone who has bought this said they enjoyed it. I enjoy it too, but I want to tell you, if you don't own it and you want it because it's Kathleen Lights and it looks pretty, you don't need this. The blues aren't that good. They're okay, but they're the worst shadows in the palette in my opinion, aside from this gold, which is just utter crap. This blue is hard to blend. It takes a long time. This is pigmented. There's nothing wrong with this. It's pigmented. It's not the most pigmented thing ever. And this is chunky. And those are the blue shades. Every other shade you have. I just wanted to tell you that if you have FOMO for this palette, just don't. It's not that special. I'm glad you all like it who have it, but if you don't have it, you don't need to go out and buy it. And that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get at, if this didn't say Kathleen Lights, if this just said Dream Street palette, would you have purchased it? And it's okay to say, no, I wouldn't have, but I like it now. I'm not trying to say, how dare you buy something just for the name and then like it. That's totally fine. I just think it's important to acknowledge that information, even if you don't do anything with that information. Even if you just say, yep, I bought it for the name, I will do that again in the future, I am happy with my decisions. Next, I want to talk about the Carli Bybel and BH Cosmetics palette. I will preface this by saying, I feel like the original Carli Bybel BH Cosmetics palette got BH Cosmetics back into the game. I never ever heard people talk about BH Cosmetics to the point that they do now before the Carli Bybel palette. And then the Carli Bybel palette came out, and everyone was talking about it, and I remember thinking, what is BH Cosmetics? And now I have the Zodiac palette. I know a lot of other people have the Zodiac palette. People are really liking the Festival palette, and I'm really glad that they were able to get their toes back in the water. What I want to talk about is the Carly Bible 2 palette, because why? This was a bigger palette to the first palette with a lot of the same shades and then a couple other new ones, but it's still neutral. I felt like they were milking it, and I don't like feeling like that with brands. I don't like to look at a brand and think you are milking the success that you had because you collabed with someone and it went well, so now you're coming out with the same palette but a little bit bigger and a little bit different. I didn't like that feeling. None of you guys commented about that. I just wanted to share that. A lot of people purchased that palette because of her name, but I think it was good. I think it got BH Cosmetics back into the game. I remember people saying that palette was super, super good quality and super affordable. Makeup collabs aren't always evil, and they're not always bad. That's truly not what I'm trying to say here. I want to give different perspectives on it. Why did they come out with a 2 palette? They were good with the 1 palette. It was great and fine, and I don't like that they came out with another one. All right, I won't dwell on this because so many people have talked about this, but going back to makeup that was overpriced just for the celeb name, can anyone say Maybelline Gigi Hadid collection? What the hell was this thing? This was $20 for this weird palette that looks like I purchased it at Claire's 10 years ago. So many people had terrible reviews about this, and it was just weird. It just felt strange. I'm not sure why, but some celebrity collaborations just feel like they make sense. The Anastasia and Amrezy highlighter, everyone was really on board with that. That one just felt like, yeah, that makes sense. This did not make any sense, especially the price point. I have a video coming up about drugstore makeup that is getting way overpriced, and this should have been something at Sephora. This would be like a low-end thing at Sephora. This should not be a high-end thing at the drugstore, especially if it's as bad as everyone said it was. Another palette that people bought just for the collab name was the Nikkie Tutorials and Too Faced palette. I remember when this came out, it was very interesting, the reviews that I saw, because I saw reviews from her friends and I saw reviews from people who had a bit less subscribers, and the difference was quite shocking. There was a bit of drama with this palette because a ton of people did not like it. Again, this is one of those things where if you have pre-ordered this, you have pre-ordered it because either you like Nikkie Tutorials or you like Too Faced. Nothing to do with the quality. I think it's important to wait. We can watch reviews. It's not going away. I don't care how many times they tell you it's limited edition once. No brand does that now. They just don't, because they want to make money, and they always say, we didn't know how fast it would sell out. They say that so that you're even more excited to buy it next time. I've talked about this to death, whatever. This palette did not do well. There was this whole thing, I remember when her video came out about it, people were saying that in every other video, she shows herself swatching something on her hand, but in this video, she didn't show her finger doing it. It was just there. I don't really know. I don't really care. All I'm trying to say is we can hold back. It's okay to take a step back and say, am I going to use that palette? Is that palette good? Before we just go ahead and spend all of our money. Because I think this was in the $50 range, and that's a lot of money. For $50, you deserve to love the product that you get. And for a lot of the reviews I saw with this, people were not feeling like that. A lot of you guys mentioned the Graveyard Girl and Tarte collection. I remember this sold out. This felt like a little out of place to me. I'm not sure if Bunny used to do / does more makeup and I just don't know. I actually don't have much to say about that. I just wanted to take this time to send my positivity over to Bunny. If you guys have not seen the series she did with Shane Dawson or the videos she has been coming out with a little bit recently, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link them down below. I just want to say, Bunny, congratulations. I feel really happy for her. She was expressing a lot of stuff that I think a lot of other content creators can relate to, and I just wanted to spread some positivity in this video. Lastly, let's end it with a makeup product that is way too expensive because of the person. In a broad term, we could say anything Kardashian. KKW Beauty, holy crap. When all that stuff came out with the contour kits and how you got, you know what I'm talking about, the cream contour kits, you got like this much product in it, and everyone was like, ah, What? I remember Tarte did a video where she actually really liked the product. No matter if you like the product, it was so expensive for such little product, and celebrities can get away with that sometimes. Sometimes when you have this big name, especially if you're known to be someone that is more sexual, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm just saying sometimes when that's in your brand, you tend to sell stuff a lot. Sex sells, we know that. It was ridiculous how little product you got, and I know a lot of people didn't like it. I remember all the videos coming out being like, what is this? I'm so mad. I remember the brush, the little sponge brush. You had no choice but to buy that in the collection. Also, Kylie Cosmetics. I have talked about this already, but Kylie Cosmetics is just overpriced because of her name. There are so many speculations that ColourPop is basically the same formula as Kylie Cosmetics. There have been people that have confirmed they're made in the same factory. I have no reason to confirm this to you. I'm just telling you that's what I believe. You don't have to agree with me, but from what I have read, the conspiracies about that I have heard, I absolutely believe them. I don't think her stuff is worth the hype. I'm glad that her hype has died down a little bit, not for her sake, I don't care what she does, but just for the sake of why are you spending so much money on something when ColourPop is right there. It's right there. All right, guys, that is it. I'm actually losing my voice a bit. I'm gonna go rest. I'm pre-filming because I'm in Israel as you're watching this. What products have you bought just for the collab name / what was overpriced just for the celebrity's name? Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.